Most accurate forecast. Let's get started. Up first tonight, breaking news in that horrifying Texas church shooting. We are learning more about how the suspect managed to buy guns despite his past. You see, the Air Force failed to report his conviction on domestic violence charges to the database used to conduct background checks on gun buyers. The shooting rampage Sunday injured 20 people and killed 26. The deceased range in age from 77 years old to an infant, just 18 months old.
And we're learning more about the suspect in this horrible crime. It appears tonight that he took his own life. Texas law enforcement officers say he had 3 gunshot wounds, 2 from a citizen who tried to stop him, and the third appears to be self-inflicted. The suspect's name is Devin Patrick Kelly. He was 26. He spent 4 years in the Air Force. He was court-martialed and given a bad conduct discharge in 2014. Now, investigators believe that the shooting started with a domestic dispute. Kelly had a history of them. So let's zero in on that. FBI profilers we've spoken to say a history of domestic violence in the suspect's past is not a surprise. And here's a tough statistic, but it's an important one to share. If you are involved in a relationship where there is domestic violence and a gun is in the home, you are 500% more likely to end up dead.
The news from Texas brought on a wave of tough memories for hundreds of people, among them Lisa O'Neill. She managed to escape the Washington Navy Yard as a gunman opened fire there in 2013, killing 12 people.
I think back to what I went through, and I feel really sorry for the people that have to go through this, because it is a very emotional thing, and it's tough. And I don't understand why we have to keep reliving this, why there's so many people out in the world that want to go ahead and hurt innocent people. And it's very confusing to me. It's frustrating to me. But I really feel sorry for the families that have to go through this.
Texas, Las Vegas, Newtown, Columbine. Here's a question we're hearing all over the place. Is this the new normal? Deborah Alfarone has that part of the story told by 3 people who've been to hell and back.
I think this is not a normal that we want to accept.
Lori Haas's daughter was shot twice and survived the Virginia Tech massacre.
If the candidate for whatever office, whether it's local, state, or federal office, is not a supporter of gun violence prevention, don't vote for them.
Rabbi Shaul Praver was the rabbi at the only synagogue in Newtown, Connecticut, when the Sandy Hook massacre happened.
Now we need to, draw very deep into the well springs of our faith. Nobody is ever prepared for something like this. We weren't, you're not, nobody should get used to a mass shooting in a church or a school or anywhere.
And Andrea Powell of D.C. is a victim of random gun violence.
It's not just about guns. It's about the people who access them. It's about educating individuals about other ways to deal with their problems. We're all connected, and we have to start to care about the person next to us and the person as far away from us who's a victim equally.
Deborah Alfarone, WUSA9.
What do you think about when you hear the word terrorism? A man drives a truck into a crowd in New York City, killing 8 people. Now, 26 people are shot and killed at a church in Texas. Both are horrible mass casualty attacks that happened just a week apart. Well, shortly after the attack in New York City, President Trump and others lit up social media, calling it terrorism. But the president's tweets about Texas don't. Now, that led to some confused and frustrated people tweeting, why isn't this Texas case an act of terror? Well, to find out, our Verify researchers went to the FBI and to the text of U.S. law. And here's what they found out. It comes down to intent, or why a person did it. A motive has to be connected to some sort of political, religious, or ideological extremism for it to be considered terrorism. Now, that was clear in the New York attack last week after authorities found materials from the suspect pledging allegiance to ISIS. The determination is even more clear-cut when prosecutors decide whether to charge somebody with a terrorism-related crime. The U.S. Code lays out specific legal definitions for domestic terrorism and international terrorism. Again, if they don't meet the level of intent, they won't be classified as a terrorist act. So, while you may be seeing posts on social media calling for the Sutherland Springs case to be called terrorism, our researchers found, legally speaking, Unless authorities uncover a new motive, it won't be considered terrorism. As you might expect after a mass shooting, plenty of thoughts and prayers from Congress. No serious talk, though, about gun control. Just a reminder, both parties supported looking at regulating those things called bump stocks after the Las Vegas shooting. So far, that hasn't gone anywhere on Capitol Hill. We take a closer look at the debate over gun control in a story Stephanie Ramirez has on WUSA9.com right now. And while you're there, you can hear more from Lisa O'Neill, the woman who survived the shooting there at the Navy Yard.
Well, our job is to bring you the stories in your community, and sometimes it feels like there's more bad than good. So we want to help fix that with some acts of kindness. I went out to Shaw with a couple $100, and what happened next was absolutely priceless.
What if I told you, Miss Ruby, that I have $100 that I just want to give to you as a random act of kindness?
I'm sure I won't fake. Is it real? Can I hug you for this?
Of course.
Oh my goodness, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh
thank
my
you,
goodness,
thank you.
yes.
Oh, that's what she is.
Miss Santa Claus.
Miss Santa Claus.
So now I need your help, Miss Ruby.
Okay.
I have another $100 that I want you to give to somebody.
Okay.
Can we find somebody out here that we can give it to
Oh,
and
where
make
did
their
she
day?
go? She go. The lady that I was just talking to. Does she
You
want
want to
to
go get her?
Let me see if she wants
Now listen, you can't tell her that we're
I'm
about
not.
to do this.
I'm not.
Just go get her and tell her to come out.
The lady had the cap on. She went in there?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, okay.
Okay.
Now just wait until you see who Ruby was excited to grab for that other $100 bill. It's a wonderful story, and you'll see the rest of it tomorrow morning on Wake Up Washington at 6:45, and then join us tomorrow night for another random act of kindness. We need more of those, right?
Absolutely. So now to a story you'll see only on WUSA9. A local woman speaking out tonight after her dog died at a pet boarding facility in D.C. in July. The owners of that facility are adamant they didn't do anything wrong. Here's WUSA9 Special Assignment Unit reporter Whitney Wild.
Dax has been the one constant in my life, and he meant the world to me.
A few years after she became a customer of Wagtime LLC, a D.C. pet care facility in Northwest, this woman boarded her dog at the second location, Wagtime 2 in Southeast. She asked us not to use her name.
We went to Alaska, and as a result of that, I needed to board Dax.
Dax never came home. 9 days after Dax arrived at Wagtime 2, his owner says a puppy pinned Dax down on his back, killing him. The death shocked Dax's owner. Wagtime's website advertises dog boarding cage-free with 24-hour attention and care and separation by size and temperament.
My understanding was then that Dax was going to be placed in a pen with dogs his size, around his age, and that he would be supervised 24/7.
She has now filed a lawsuit against Wagtime seeking $150,000. She says Wagtime was negligent in putting a 6-month-old, 18.5-pound shelter dog in the elderly and tiny area with Dax, a 12-year-old, 4.5-pound Yorkshire Terrier. Lisa Schreiber and Ofer Kahl own Wagtime LLC and Wagtime 2.
What about the allegation that there was some negligence involved?
I don't see how. A rescue dog named Haley was a puppy, and they had been together for, a week, same room, no problems. What happened with Dax was a very unfortunate incident, one that nobody really could have predicted.
They don't dispute Dax died there, but say a cage-free environment comes with some risk.
They're unpredictable because they are animals. They are not people.
The lawsuit says Wagtime misrepresented services, specifically that daycare zones would be divided into classes separated by dog size and temperament, and Wagtime provided a specific elderly class zone where Dax would be placed. Wagtime's website advertises its fully separate and secure small and elderly dog zone.
We never told her that, and nor do we have that here.
On your website, there's a mention of it.
We have it at WAG 1. We have a senior dog room. Here we do not.
On the website, it doesn't specify what services are for which location, so can you see how she might have been confused?
No.
Okay,
No.
You can't see that.
Mm-mm.
Plainly, are dogs safe here?
Absolutely.
It's tough. I live alone, and I miss him.
Dax's owner says she wants the district to implement tougher regulations on dog boarders. Wag Time says this is the first time a dog has ever died inside the facility. They insist their staff spends 24 hours per day inside the same room as the dogs. Whitney Wild, WUSA9.
We've got more information about the D.C. Department of Health regulations and guidelines for animals and pet shops. It's on our website right now and on our WUSA9 mobile app.
And our special assignment unit is just getting started tonight. Next, a report about a class for student drivers in Virginia aimed at saving lives when police pull them over.
And the chief is out on the terrace with a first look at D.C.'s most accurate forecast. Hey, Top.
All right, let's start with tomorrow morning, election morning. It's going to be chilly to start. 48 downtown at 5 o'clock, 41 in Gaithersburg, 44 in Manassas. And then by, say, 8 o'clock, 46 downtown, 41 in Gaithersburg, and about 44 in Bowie. But rain on our doorstep. We'll come back, give you a timetable of that, tell you if you want to vote, what time you need to vote if you want to stay dry, and look ahead to possibly another yellow weather alert later in the week.
Live from the nation's capital, where it is cooling down. You're watching the news at 11 right here on WUSA 9.